Welcome to Path by Photos. My name is Corey Rahman, and I've created this application that combines two of my passions, cartography and photography, in order to tell a more compelling visual story. So walk with me on a journey through my first featured story about an important, beloved local park named Huntley Meadows. Huntley Meadows Park is truly the hidden gem of Northern Virginia. The land was originally purchased by George Mason in 1757. All 1452 acres of Huntley Meadows Park is currently now owned by Fairfax County, and the park is frequented by over 200,000 visitors per year. The park is now a vital biodiverse forest and wetland, home to over 30 species of mammals, 50 species of reptiles, amphibians, and dragonflies, 200 species of birds, and 600 species of plants. It's spring, so we see an American crow sitting in her nest. Kind of funny, I got this picture of her in the parking lot, but take him when we can get him, right? You'll find lots of wildflowers surrounding the trailhead as you get kind of deeper into the park. And by the way, make sure to visit the Huntley Meadows Nature Center. They have super friendly staff, park maps, information, and learning material for kids, and sometimes even free books. Highly recommended. And then right out back behind the Nature Center is the Frog Pond. And you'll see, around this time of year at least, you'll see tons of little heads poking out of the water, like this guy. Look how beautiful his eyes are. And let's continue on. One of the first bird photos I got is a beautiful blue-gray gnatcatcher singing his heart out, looking for a mate. According to allaboutbirds.org, a pair of blue-gray gnatcatchers can build up to 7 nests in a breeding season. This can be essential to breeding success since predation, nest parasitism, or mite infestations frequently cause nest loss and brood failure. Continuing on, we pass some nice wildflowers. And you'll find lots of benches along the trail, so if you can't walk long distances, you should be okay. You can find plenty of sitting spots along the way. And one of the things I love about this park is these towering trees. They really humble you. Also along the trail, you'll see all these little trail markers, and in this one you can see a loop at the end. That's actually a marsh loop that we're going to be going on later. That's along the Heron Trail. And then this picture is actually a depiction of the fork in the road. We could continue on left and go to continue on the Cedar Trail, but I think we want to go right to the Heron Trail for that beautiful marsh boardwalk. And the Heron Trail begins. And as you get closer to the marsh, you can already start seeing some of that wetland, that beautiful wetland kind of peeking out between the trees. And look at this guy. Soon as I stepped onto that boardwalk trail, I saw a bunch of photographers hanging around, and I was like, what are you guys looking at? It's just a little snake. Can you spot him? Check it out. One of the first birds you're likely to hear is the red-winged blackbird, which is a year-round bird who loves marshland. Listen for raspy-sounding bird calls. You can look up their bird calls on allaboutbirds.org. And according to them, the oldest recorded red-winged blackbird was 15 years 9 months old. It was banded in New Jersey in 1967. And found alive but injured in Michigan in 1983. It was able to be released after recovering from its injuries. You'll see plenty of reptiles around too, mostly these eastern painted turtles. And this is one of my favorite shots. You can see a really pretty reflection in the water here. And in this photo, we're looking northeast. So this tree line right here is this tree line right along here. The Huntley Meadows is a huge destination for photographers and nature enthusiasts alike, or anyone really. I see families along the boardwalk with their kids all the time. There are also educational signs posted throughout the trail. This one, titled A Huntley Meadows View of the World, says water from nearby streets, lawns, and construction sites run into creeks in the park. There it slows down, dropping sediments and pollutants. Cleaner water then flows south into the Potomac River and Chesapeake Bay. This phenomenon is just one reason why marshlands are so valuable to humanity. And actually, if we zoom the map out a little bit here, I can show you something about riparian buffers. Now the water itself is only this small portion in the middle, but something a lot of people forget about ecology or didn't know is that you need space. So just because you have this huge plot of land here doesn't mean that you can start cutting off pieces of it and protect the middle. No, this middle part needs the protection from this large swath of land. In fact, there's many species who can't live that close to edges. They'll only reside in the center of the forest here. And I also got a shot of a northern cardinal, Virginia's state bird. So as we continue along the boardwalk, we'll see another fork in the road. You can go left to kind of cut across towards the observatory, or you can take a slightly longer way right, which is what I chose to do, because there's a really nice viewpoint down here. And I was lucky enough to catch this picture of an osprey. Is it a bird? A plane? You were right the first time. It's a bird. This osprey is hunting for fish. They're known for hovering in place as they prepare to dive. And right on the side of the boardwalk, I saw a mother Canada goose on her nest. Don't get too close because these guys get pretty aggressive. And you can see that lookout point I was talking about up ahead here on the left. Now you'll see several of these along the way, these nesting boxes. And these are extremely useful conservation tools that humans can use to try to give some habitat back to our bird friends. And we'll hear more about the success in that later. And this is one of my favorite spots. It's a really nice place to just sit and observe. Look at this log. If you look closely, you'll notice two different species. Let's get a closer look. The one on the left here, huge snapping turtle. Luckily he's far away from me, but if you see one close to you, I'd turn around. And then on the right side of that log, we have some more eastern painted turtles kind of just piled up. They like the sun. And here we have some tree swallows. We have a male landing with a female calling on the same box. And they live in this nesting house. And that's me. I'm repping my Eber.org camera strap. eBird is a citizen science platform where birders, bird watchers like myself, can submit species surveys for conservation research. On this trip alone, I logged 18 different species of birds. Now this device is actually a Huntley Meadows weather station, and as we can see, I took this photo facing southeast, so it's about right over here. It might even be that white dot on the map. But it monitors the weather of the area as well as measuring the water level for park staff. And this is just a beautiful photo. It was nearly a cloudless day, but I like the two that I got. Now we're getting a little closer to the observatory, and we're gonna make a brief stop onto dry land so that we can get there. And here it is. It's got a nice shaded first floor if you need to take a break from the sun, or you can climb up the stairs to the top for a beautiful view. There's a view from the bottom, and then there's the view from the top. It's a wonderful place to spend some time. And here's another one of those informational signs. This one is especially meaningful to me, being a birder. It says, an oasis for wetland birds. Wetlands provide precious habitat for birds. Over 200 species have been identified in the park. Many are migratory. Green-backed herons leave for the winter, but all the other birds pictured here are present much of the year. We got a picture of the mallard earlier, if you remember seeing that. And the Canada geese. And the boardwalk winds past the observatory before joining land again afterwards. That's a southwest facing photo, so you can see that this curve is this curve on the map down here. Now, near the end of the boardwalk, we start to see many of these large dead trees. Why is this important? Well, did you know that dead trees are essential to ecosystem health? They provide habitat and important nutrients for both plants and animals. This was a southeast direction, so these trees are right here on the map. This red-headed woodpecker is a prime example of why dead trees are so healthy. These little guys not only live in dead trees, but they get much of their food from critters living inside them too. Now we have a view looking back. This was taken in a northward direction. We can see that we're kind of looking back the way we came. This was the second stretch of the boardwalk with the observatory right up here in the upper right. And there's our red-headed woodpecker friend again. He is excavating out, seemingly, his new nesting hole. Now we're nearing the end of our journey here. The path continues into the forest. The deer loop loops back around to either the observatory or all the way back around to the cedar trail. But before you go, I want you to look at one last bird. I'm lucky I got one of these photos. It's a beautiful one. And for conservationists, the eastern bluebird represents the good that humanity can do. It's a true success story. According to fairfaxcounty.gov, from 1920 to 1970, there was a major decline in the bluebird population. The bluebird went from being as common as the robin to being so rare that birders were sure of its inevitable extinction. In 1978, the North American Bluebird Society was formed by citizen science and birders. They educated the public and trained volunteers as monitors. The result is almost fairy tale. The bluebird population rebounded and stabilized, escaping extinction. It's thanks to humanity's conservation efforts that I was able to get this photograph for you here. And our final photo. Despite the beauty and utility of Huntley Meadows, the park often comes under attack. When that happens, the nonprofit organization Friends of Huntley Meadows Park jumps into action. The document says, "Our interest is to ensure the protection of natural, historical, and cultural resources on Huntley Meadows Park property." You can visit their website at friendsofhuntleymmeadows.org. Thank you for reading, and if you're ever in the DC area, definitely pop by.